We have all heard something about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree by now, whether it's way too hard and unfair, or it's not that hard and it's amazing. There's something to both of these points, but one thing is for sure, the DLC is amazing. I'm Sam the Ashen, and this is Shadow of the Erdtree. Chances are, if you're watching this, you've played Elden Ring, so you know that the game is not easy. Sure, there's some who say it's the easiest Souls game, and maybe that's true, but it's still not an easy game. It's challenging and rewarding, the whole idea of a Souls game. And the DLC takes it up to the next level. They gave us Elden Ring, a ton of cool weapons and abilities, and we learned how to make the most broken builds possible to blow right through the game. So the DLC made it so that even then, it'll still be quite a challenge for most people, which in my opinion is the perfect choice. We're not playing Elden Ring to play an easy walk in the park game. The new area, the Shadowlands, is quite the sight to see. It has varied landscapes that range from a massive, overfilled library with books and ancient dragon remains, and the whole thing feels like a throwback to the Duke's Archives from Dark Souls 1. And also beautiful open fields with a kind of dark, shadowy mist that fills the air with death, to a crumbling but still gargantuan castle that has fallen to ruins but whose residents still remain, waiting. We've had quite a few castles in Elden Ring, but these new ones feel completely different and unique with their own enemies and secrets. The environments are absolutely gorgeous, and there were several times I audibly said, "Whoa." The interesting thing about the combat is that one or two crazy weapons or ashes of war can really spice up the way the combat is handled. Two great examples of this are Rellana's Twin Blades and Messmer's Spear. Rellana's Twin Blades have their own unique moveset that on its own is a lot of fun, and it's really versatile with great damage, but they also have a pretty insane Ash of War. Holding in the skill button puts you into an offensive stance with your swords lighting up. Pressing light attack shoots out a powerful beam of magic similar to the Moonlight Greatsword, but these come out pretty fast, and pressing the button again keeps swinging out magic slashes for a combo. Great ability, and it looks really great too. The heavy attack, while in the stance, causes a firestorm attack that does a lot of damage in an AoE around you, with Messmer's Flame burning whoever it touches. Then there's Messmer's Spear. Has a super cool Ash of War that is really hard to defend against, but the craziest part, at least for me, is that charging a heavy attack will actually throw the spear and cause it to explode, making it even a great ranged weapon, and it doesn't even take FP. Pretty crazy. There's even more weapons to find and try out. There's literally over 100 new weapons, but I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll leave the weapons at that. There's 30 new armor sets in the DLC, which is a lot, more separate pieces too, and some of them are super good looking, which is great because we all know the real name of the game is Fashion Souls. Now for probably the most controversial point, the bosses. For numbers, there are 80-ish bosses, but only about 10 of them are main bosses. I'm definitely not going to spoil all of them. I haven't even seen all of them, so I'll just talk a bit about the first 3 that I have seen. The first boss I came across was the Divine Beast, which was a major challenge for me, even with a Mimic tier. Actually, at first, I couldn't even beat it. I had to go out and play more of the DLC to get more tree fragments and better gear, which I'm personally totally fine with. Actually, I would have been pretty disappointed if I had beaten it without having to truly get stronger and learn its movesets. Same goes for the next 2. Rellana, which was an amazing fight. It truly felt like a really intense duel, and I probably fought her actually 30 times, and half of those were with a Mimic tier. But it was close to a perfect fight. And lastly, Messmer. which was a really tough one for me. He was really hard to read and learn the movesets for. He hit hard and he was fast. But he was also fair. All the attacks, as far as I know, can be dodged and avoided if you do it right, and you have a fighting chance with or without help. It definitely felt like a really big, important boss fight, big enough to be the last boss of the game, I think, which he isn't, by the way. I fought a few other smaller of the dungeon bosses, which were still a lot of fun, much less of a challenge and less grand, but still fun and kept me engaged enough to want to explore more of the dungeons and really every area. So all in all, the boss fights are incredible. They're really tough, but totally beatable, and I think they hit a sweet spot in their tough but fair motto. Just some side notes, there's some pretty cool new NPCs. There's one that even reminded me of Sigurd, for those who know who that is. There's new cookbooks for more recipes and item crafting, a bunch of new ingredients and buffs. There's 42 new spells in the game, which is a lot, 25 new Ashes of War, and much more. Overall, considering everything, the DLC is amazing. And if you go into it keeping in mind what game you're playing, a FromSoft game, which are meant to be tough, then you'll have a blast with it. There is so much to do, to see, to find, and fight. It almost feels like a whole nother game. This is one of the developers that treat us right every time, never scamming us or doing the bare minimum. They always go above and beyond, and the DLC is no different. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, liking and leaving a comment really does help me out a lot, and I'm interested in knowing your thoughts. If you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. I post once every 2 weeks on Sunday, so I'll never clog up your feed. I hope you have a good one. Peace out.